All right, let's dive into database modeling. But seriously, forget all the dry textbook definitions for a minute. Today, we're going to do something way more fun. We're going to build an entire world for our data right from scratch. Let's get started. So, to really wrap our heads around this, let's start with a big idea. Just for a moment, forget about tables, rows, and code. Instead, I want you to picture a huge, bustling city. This is going to be our data world. And in this world, our database world, everything has its place. Nothing is just floating around randomly. Every single piece of information has a home, a specific role, and a real purpose for being there. It's all organized. So, take a look around our city. What do you see? You see distinct things, right? There are people walking around, cars driving by, shops on every corner. And you can also imagine concepts like orders being placed in those shops or classes being taught by professors. Each one of these unique things is a core building block of our data world. Now, in database lingo, each of these things has a proper name. It's called an entity. An entity is just any unique object or concept that we want to keep track of. And here's the most important part. The best way to think of an entity is as a character in the grand story of our data. So let's actually meet these characters, our entities, because, just like in any good movie or book, some characters are the stars of the show who can stand on their own, while others, well, they kind of depend on someone else to even be in the story. On one side, you have your strong entities. These are our main characters. A student, a car, an employee. They make sense all by themselves. But on the other side, you've got weak entities. And they're exactly what they sound like. They're more like a character's shadow. They literally can't exist without being attached to a main character. I mean, think about it. What are order details without an actual order? Or a room without a house? They're totally dependent. Okay, so we have our characters, our entities, but what good is a character with no personality, right? No details that make them who they are. That's where attributes come into play. They give our characters life. I mean, can you even imagine a character with no name, no age, no description at all? What would that even look like? Of course not. It's impossible. An entity without attributes is just a blank page, a character with absolutely no identity. These attributes are what give our data all its meaning and context. And these character traits, they come in a few different flavors. You have your simple attributes like age or GPA. You can't break those down any further. Then there are composite attributes like an address, which is obviously made up of smaller parts like the street, city, and so on. We also have multi-valued attributes for when a character can have more than one of something, like a bunch of phone numbers. And finally, you have the really clever ones, derived attributes, which are calculated from another piece of data. And here's the perfect example of a derived attribute in action. We don't need to store a person's age and then have to remember to update it every single year. That's just a massive headache. Instead, we do something much smarter. We store one solid fact, their date of birth, and then we just calculate their age whenever we need it. It's simple, it's efficient, and it's always right. Okay, so we've got our characters, and we've given them all these cool traits. But right now, they're all just standing around. It's time to make things interesting. It's time for the plot to thicken by actually connecting them to each other. And this connection is called a relationship. You can think of it as the verb in our data story. A student enrolls in a course. An employee works for a department. Relationships are the plot lines. They're the action that brings our characters to life and shows us how they all interact. Now, these plot lines usually fall into three main categories. First, you've got the one-to-one, which is like a super exclusive link. One person has exactly one national ID. Then you have the most common one by far, the one-to-many. Just think of one professor who teaches many different courses. And finally, we have the many-to-many relationship. And yeah, the many-to-many. This is where things get really interesting, really dynamic. This is where the action, the drama, this is where the cinema truly begins. So how do we handle this crazy plot twist? A single student can be in many courses, and a single course has many students. Trying to connect them directly would be a total mess. The solution is actually super elegant. You just create a brand new linking entity that sits in the middle. In this case, we could call it enrollment, and its only job is to connect one specific student to one specific course. Just like that. Problem solved. Okay, get ready for a really fascinating, kind of mind-bending idea, the recursive relationship. What happens when a character has a relationship with another character of its own kind? It sounds a little strange, I know, but trust me, it happens all the time in the real world. Just think about it for a second. An employee's manager is, well, they're also an employee, right? A city on a map is located next to another city. Or in a family tree, a person is the child of another person. That's a recursive relationship. It's how we model things like hierarchies and complex networks.
All right, we've done it. We've built our world, we've met our characters, and we've mapped out their stories. Now let's just step back and take a look at the blueprint we've created with a really quick summary of everything we've just covered.
Let's recap it, quick-fire style. An entity, that's your character. An attribute, those are the character's traits. A relationship, that's the storyline. Strong versus weak, that's the main hero versus their shadow. One-to-one is that special, exclusive relationship. One-to-many is like a boss and their team. Many-to-many is that big, crowded university class. And a recursive relationship, well, that's a relationship with yourself. So we've just used a simple story to build a really powerful framework for understanding data. But the real takeaway here is a challenge for you. Go look at your own data, whether it's for your business, a side project, or even just a hobby, and ask yourself, who are my characters? What are their traits? And most importantly, what is their story? Thanks for tuning in.